She found mathematics easy, requiring no study and little effort. Not sure to what extent she would have calculated the vital roles she would play in the education system, from a classroom teacher to principal and on to critical roles with the Caribbean Examinations Council. An exceptional athlete who ran 100 meters through to 800-meter races, the hurdles, through the discus and shot put. And that appeared not to have been enough, so she tackled long jump and high jump. The natural progression would be her involvement in sports administration. Mrs. Cynthia Cook, OD, JP, former principal of Camperdown High School and former chair of the Intersecondary School Sports Association, ISSA, is my guest. Good evening. This is Profile. I am Faye Ellington. Thank you so much for joining. This is Profile, and I just want to sort something out. So it wasn't chair of ISSA, it was chair of several sports.
Yes, at ISSA.
At ISSA.
Yes.
So that would be sports like?
Cricket, tennis, swimming, but mainly Manning Cup football.
That was crucial to you, Manning Cup football. Let's just talk a little bit about mathematics. When did you discover that you had a flair for maths?
Well, I didn't really discover that. I liked all subjects, but mathematics took the least amount of effort. And that is why I stuck to mathematics.
Was it natural or were you nurtured?
It was natural. It was natural. I just had a flair for problem solving, thinking, remembering. So I guess that goes with what mathematics is all about. I always like to say that I'm a mathematician and not necessarily somebody who can work out problems.
What's the difference?
Because, you know, when you teach mathematics, the children think that you study the problems and then you can work it out if you remember the formula and so on. But a mathematician is a way of thinking. That's in my mind.
Early days, in a household with 8 siblings, mother and father, what was that like? You were the third child, first girl?
First girl, so I was a mother in my early years. I became a mother to all except the one who came just after me. I was looking after baby. After a while, I really thought that was unfair for me to be a mother at such a young age. And I said I would never have children because I had to be doing all these chores related to motherhood. But, you know, it was good because it was like a whole community. You had all the different aspects of a community within the household. You never needed to go outside to have a concert and so on. You had to be there. I learned to play cricket with my brothers and sisters, you know. The little ones I used to take care of, but I had 2 brothers and another brother after me. So we played cricket, and, you know, if you do well, they run you and say, go and tidy the house and so on. You must not do well because you're a girl.
Games.
Yes, and you had to fight for survival because sometimes when there's not enough, you had to fight to get yours. You know, you put all the bread on the table and you are served 2 slices around. And then what is left, you watch to see if that one is finished to go for the next one first. So you kind of, you know, those little things help you because I think that competition is important in the upbringing of a child.
Well, a household with 9 children, mother and father, I can understand the competition bit. Your parents, what were their names?
My mother was Pearline Teresa Goldson. That was her maiden name. And my father was Theophilus Anthony Warren. My father was very strict. And, you know, when he told a joke, it was, you know. But he was a provider. My mother was always at home when you came home from school. So that is type of thing I thought of a mother ought to be. She was always there, and whatever little, it served.
Where did you grow up?
I grew up in the eastern part of Kingston, so we lived several places, but finally we lived just at the bottom of Paradise Street, at Hannah Street, That's where we were for
That was
most of our
close to
life.
Raytown.
That was called Raytown.
Or Raytown,
Yes,
rather.
and with those big houses and the, those. And at one time you had the police training school, the band headquarters, right across from us, and you had this big, big house right on the sea, and it was owned by somebody named Titanqui. So very large houses, and we were just a stone's throw from the sea, and they used to have boats there and that dried out, they say, when they're servicing them. And I had a brother who my parents didn't know, but he would go there in the evening, go on the boat and dive off.
Did you ever try that?
No, no, no. We learned long after he was doing it. We always wondered why he was so tanned, because most of my brothers and sisters were light-skinned, but he had this tan, and nobody knew where it came from.
Smart boy, and he knew how
Yes.
to cover his tracks.
Yes.
What schools did you attend?
Well, in the beginning, what we call infant school now, you call private school. I went to several of those. I remember going to one, and I knew more than the other children, so the teacher wanted me to teach them. And one day when I gave them something that was too hard, I got a beating for giving the children things too hard.
How old were you when you were teaching?
I was about 4.
Are you getting a beating?
Yes. And they told me I could read very early. And everybody wondered why I could read. I don't know. But I could
Clearly
read
it
very
was
early.
encouraged in your home,
Yes, and my father was a reader. My father acquired knowledge, all kinds of knowledge. He even learned Spanish just by buying himself books, and so he tried to design things and so on, but he just liked that type
So
of
after
thing,
that,
reading.
private school. Just list the primary schools you attended.
I went to, there was a school at Edison, Methodist, Edison, I think it was a Methodist church. I went there for a few weeks, I think, and then my mother went to the country with us for a while, and so I went to Harkersall Primary.
That's in St. Catherine.
Yes, and I remember going there. I was in A class for 1 week, and in B class for 1 day, and then they moved me on to first class. So I was there for a few weeks, and then we went back to Kingston, and I went back to that school, Edison, and then I went to St. George's Girls Primary, where I spent my final 3 years of primary school.
After primary school, where did you head to school?
I went to Camperdown High School. I didn't know anything about Camperdown High School. I think those were the days just after the scholarship entrance examination started, and my brother got a half scholarship to go to Camperdown. How they knew about Camperdown is we were going to Lincoln Kirk, which was a Presbyterian church, and my mother went to the church, and the minister told her to go to the ministry because probably he got enough, his grade was enough to go to a high school, but he did not get the scholarship. And when she went, they said he could get a half scholarship. So he went there and that time the school was just becoming a granting aid school.
That's Camperdown High.
Camperdown High.
Just shortly after that, you went
So,
there.
yes, so that is how I knew about Camperdown.
What
So I
were
went
your
to
years
Camperdown.
at Camperdown like? In about a minute, if you could tell me, as a student.
As a student, I went to school, first of all, to meet my friends. Everything else was a byproduct. But I liked being at school. My teacher told me I did not like being a bright girl. So in the afternoons, I would help my friends with the homework so that we can go outside to play jacks and baseball and run up and down. And then afterward, I was on the track team for every year that I was at school because I was always training in the evening and I loved to be with my friends. So I really enjoyed being at school.
So you entered girls' jams?
Yes, yes.
How well did you do?
Not so well because I just like training and being with my friends. It's the last year, the last 2 years when I was at school. I took it a little more seriously, and I entered in the long jump, the hurdles, and the 100 meters. I did quite well and in the triangular meets leading up to champs,
Outside of
I like that.
athletics and playing jacks, what other extracurricular activity were you involved with at school?
Well, they took me to come and do a solo, to sing, and I wondered why. And I had my friends out why they didn't call my friends, why they only wanted me, And they say, young Molly who lived a la 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 la.
Those
And that
were
kind of thing.
the colonial days when we had to
Yes,
sing
and
Molly Malone and those
yes,
things.
and you had to throw your voice to the roof of your mouth and so on. I'm not interested in that. I wanted to go outside, and then I was in this speech and drama festival, and and your old father William, the young man said, you know that one?
Yes,
And
let's take a
yes,
break. My guest is Cynthia Cook, educator, but also so very much involved in athletics. We'll be right back after this. Please stay with us.